As I was scrolling through Twitter yesterday, I noticed a bunch of people were asking me what my predictions were for Deltarune Chapter 5. So in this video, we're going to be going through 10 different predictions for Deltarune Chapter 5. Alright guys, my first prediction is going to be that Asgore is going to fight Toriel and possibly put her in a wheelchair. Now I know what you're thinking. This prediction sucks, but listen, if you just hear me out for a little bit, you'll understand why I think this, and you might even think it too. Alright guys, so as we know, the theme of Chapter 5 is going to be the field of roses and gold. I don't know, something like that. But it's going to be Asgore related, and Asgore is going to be in the Dark World probably. And Asgore being in the Dark World is a big deal. The reason for this is because in Deltarune's Light World, monsters and humans both can't use magic, but in the Dark World, they both can. And who is the king, the strongest magic user throughout the whole kingdom in Undertale? It was Asgore. And as we know, Asgore is already evil. Asgore was literally staring at that shadow crystal with malicious intent. And as we know from Gerson, another theme of Chapter 5 is going to be jealousy. So, my theory is that Asgore is going to learn about how truly powerful he is in the Dark World and then take out his anger on Toriel. And the reason why I think Toriel might be in a wheelchair in Chapter 5 is because, do you remember when Tenna kidnapped Toriel? Do you remember her pose? She was literally laying down and she had like a crown on her or something, I don't remember, but she was literally sitting down in the circle. That's literally proof that Toriel is going to be in a wheelchair. Anyways, my second prediction is that Gaster is going to murder Chris or amputate Chris or do both in Chapter 5. For the second time now, you're probably thinking that this guy's predictions suck, but just listen and hear me out and you'll probably understand. So as we all know, there's a secret room that you can go to, and in that secret room, Chris can lose his hand. And I don't know if you know, but Gaster doesn't have hands. Well, he does have a little bit of his hand, but there's a hole in the middle of his hand, and you know, you could literally just look at his sprite and look at it and see. So clearly what this means is that Gaster is going to kill Chris and steal his hands, or cut off Chris's hands or something like that. Alright guys, my third theory is that Papyrus is going to be known as the Great Papyrus in Chapter 5. So as we all know, Papyrus hasn't been seen yet in Deltarune, and there are 7 chapters in total, and in 3 days a 5th one is coming out, which means pretty soon we're gonna have to see Papyrus, and he's gonna have to do something, otherwise he's an irrelevant chud. So my theory is that Papyrus is going to save everyone from Asgore's domestic abuse, and after that they're going to refer to Papyrus as the Great Papyrus and actually build a statue in the middle of hometown for him, which parallels the statue that he built himself in Undertale out of snow and Snowden. Alright guys, so for my fourth prediction, I'm gonna go ahead and say that we find out Asriel is not actually at college and he's actually a fraud. The reason why I say this is because I believe that Chris, Toriel, Asgore, and Asriel are all broke. And if you really think about it for a second, this theory starts to make so much sense. First of all, the whole reason why we start our whole adventure in the Dark World is because we need chalk. And most modern classrooms today don't use a chalkboard. They don't need chalk to write. They use Promethean boards, and you know, in some places they might even be using Elmos. So clearly, based on this, hometown is not a very wealthy place, and this even reflects into the outfits that they're wearing. You know, Chris has no drip, he has no ice, no chain, no bracelet, no nothing, no grills. Susie doesn't have them either. They wear the same fit pretty much all the time, like their fits are trash. So now that we know that all the citizens in hometown are living in severe poverty, is it really that crazy to say that Asriel isn't in college? Do you know how much student debt that Asriel would have going to college? It's just unreasonable to assume that Asriel would be able to afford college and afford trips to come back to hometown like every other week. It just doesn't make sense. So now that we know that Asriel is LARPing, let's talk about another LARPer, Sans. So as we all know, in the Light World and Deltarune, monsters can't use magic, which means that Sans is a very fragile chud in the Light World. But that's what he wants you to think. You see, when Sans is drinking with Toriel inside of our house, he's literally on the floor laughing it up, making jokes with Toriel, and he doesn't seem that fragile to me. In that moment, he looks pretty confident that his bones aren't gonna snap, which is why my theory / prediction is that Sans absorbed his brother Papyrus. If you think about it for a second, this theory starts to make a lot of sense. First of all, why do we never see Papyrus? Why does it specifically say there's a faint sound of bones trousering when you interact with Papyrus's house? If you ask me, it seems pretty clear that Sans is absorbing Papyrus's life energy, his determination, his will, whatever you want to call it, and he's absorbing it into his body to make his body less fragile, and you could clearly see it working when he's on the floor laughing it up with Toriel. And let's say this isn't the case, he's not absorbing his brother's life force at all. why would he be drinking in the first place? Doesn't he know that it's a dangerous activity for such a fragile skeleton to be drinking? But anyways, that's enough about this fraud sans. We're moving on to the next one, Undyne. For my sixth prediction is gonna be that Undyne is secretly not a fish and it's actually a zebra. And if you start to really think about it, this theory starts to make a lot of sense, let me tell you. In the beginning of chapter 1, we get to see, well, actually, I don't know if this was the beginning of chapter, alright, whatever. But basically, we see Undyne lifting cars in the middle of the road, not doing her job at all. And I don't know if you guys remember, but it was pretty clearly daytime. The sun was shining outside, and I don't know if you guys remember, but Undyne is actually a fish. Or well, that's what she wants you to think. Basically, my theory is that in chapter 5 of Deltarune, Undyne is going to reveal herself as a zebra. The reason why this theory starts to make so much sense once you start to think about it a little more is because zebras are very strong. What is Undyne? Very strong. You can literally see her lifting the car in the middle of the street and not melting because she's not a fish. And also, zebras don't do their job, like, at all. Like, if you really think about it, what does a zebra even do in the wild in real life? So that's just one reason why Undyne is a zebra. And second of all, when she went to go fight the knight, she basically got carried out of there in a very zebra-like manner. I don't know if you were watching as closely as I was, but that was some pretty suspicious zebra movement that I saw going on with Undyne. And the last piece of evidence to really hammer this theory in is that Undyne's weapon of choice, her main weapon that she summons when she's doing magic, is a spear. Now, I don't know if zebras eat fish, but I wouldn't doubt it because spears are commonly used to kill fish inside the water, and then what they do after they kill the fish inside the water is they bring it up out of the water and the fish dies. So why would a fish be using a spear that is commonly used to kill other fish if it was actually a fish? This is probably the most damning evidence that we have against Undyne for being a zebra, or at least not a fish. And you know what they say, guys, we always leave the best prediction for last, and that best prediction is Chris is going to become disabled in chapter 5 of Deltarune. So as we've already established, Gaster is going to take one of Chris's hands, but this isn't what that theory is about. No! This theory is about Gaster getting jealous of Chris's other hand, because remember, Chris uses a sword, meaning he only needs one hand to fight. So Gaster is gonna get jealous of Chris's other hand that he uses to fight, and Gaster is gonna take that hand too, making Chris a double amputee. And I don't know if you remember, but Gaster doesn't have any arms at all. He's literally never shown to have any arms at all. And this reinforces the theory that Gaster will get rid of Chris's other hand, because I don't know if you remember, but Gerson literally said that one of the themes of chapter 5 is going to be jealousy. So Gaster is literally going to get jealous of Chris's other hand, and he's going to decide, you know what, I'm a greedy bastard, I'm going to take that other hand too.
But anyways, guys, that's enough for this video. I'm gonna wrap it up now. I hope y'all enjoyed. Have a good day or good night. Subscribe, like, comment, everything.